Hi, I'm Todd Reesing, and I am ecstatic to be a Jayhawk.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Haney and the Hawks. Today, recorded from our beautiful new studios down on Massachusetts Street in downtown Lawrence. And today, we bring to you a bucket list guest. When we set out with this new podcast and show hosting platform on kansasnation.com, there was probably a Mount Rushmore of guys we hope to bring you over the course of umpteen years of doing this. Todd Reesing's name was on that immediate short list, and we get him in episode 3. How cool is that? Just so happens he's back in Lawrence to check out the new booth, to cheer on his alma mater, and we're taking advantage of 30 minutes of his time here today. Pleased to have the all-time great at quarterback at Kansas, owner of 14 records in the KU record books, Todd Reesing, with us today. Todd, great to see you, my friend.
It was a pleasure to see you. It's great to be back in Lawrence. Couldn't be more excited to see the booth for the first time on Saturday. I got a preview of the stadium and facilities yesterday, and I'm absolutely blown away. They did an incredible job. I can't imagine facilities anywhere else in the country that are better than what we have right now at KU.
How about that? What were you thinking walking around thinking, it's only been 16 years since I played, but this is light years different than what I had?
My first thought was, man, I wish we had this when I was here,
Yeah.
because what they've done, not only from a game day experience for all the fans in the stadium, the renovations to all the amenities for the players, recovery rooms, the training equipment, it's just all, it's all first class, and it's all really done well. Aesthetically, it's pleasing. Functionally, it works well. So it's really impressive to see how far we've come in 15 short years and how they're leveraging technology to help with recovery, to help with training. It's really impressive. So, really amazing to see what we've done at KU. All the generosity from the donors, from people like David Booth, to help really elevate our football program to be the best in the business.
I hope there's some element of pride for you knowing that while it was 15 or 16 years ago when you played, you guys put Kansas football back on the map. And yeah, it may have taken a decade and a half to get all of this now, but you guys started that initial trajectory that put us where we're at today.
Yeah. No, I feel immense pride. I'm extremely, humbled and proud of what we accomplished during the time at KU.
Mhm,
The collective of the teammates I had, the coaches, all the
mhm.
support we have from people at the university and all of the fans out there in the Jayhawk Nation. And we laid the groundwork. We really
Mhm.
did, and
Yeah.
it took a lot of years to get to where we are now. A lot of hard work, a lot of generosity from a lot of people to make this all happen, but to play a small role in helping to elevate what is now going to be one of the best game day experiences in
Yeah.
all of college football up there on the hill. It brings me a lot of pride, and I couldn't be more excited to be back in Lawrence to get to take part and
Yes.
be part of all the tailgating and all the fun and the celebration after we get the W too.
Something else you were an All-American at, the celebration. We'll get to that later. We're gonna cover a lot of bases today, some of the big moments of your career, what you're up to nowadays, and also at some point early on, I wanna talk about this round the globe trip you made in 2024. But before we do that, sharp dressed man here, you're living and loving life in the investment world. Tell me what's the latest and greatest in your life?
Well, it is appropriate that I have a red blazer on for day coming back to Lawrence, Kansas. So that might have been slightly premeditated as
Go.
well. But no, you're right. I had a year sabbatical, and we'll talk about traveling around the world, which is an incredibly fulfilling experience. But I joined a new firm called Cap Six earlier this year, based in Houston, Texas. So we are an investment management firm that is leveraging a really modern investment approach using advanced data science, proprietary technology to build what we think are very impressive investment solutions. So, really excited at where I landed. I've got some amazing people that are very talented, very smart that I'm working with. And we think that we're building something really special inside the halls at Cap Six. So, out here making the rounds through
Yeah.
Kansas, connecting with former colleagues and clients and people that I know through the alumni network. So it's been a lot of fun. Being in that kind of entrepreneurial setup is very motivating. Having the ability to go out there and work hard and be part of building something special gives me a lot of pride as
Mhm.
well. So really looking forward to this next chapter on the professional front.
Yeah, good for you. So proud of you and happy for your
Thank you.
success. And
Yeah.
I'm also proud that you took the plunge now over a year ago to put all your stuff in storage, take one of your best friends with you, and for 9 months travel around the world. The pictures were unbelievable. Check out his Instagram account, T.O. Double Trouble, which we're going to get to nicknames later too. But what an unbelievable
Yeah.
adventure. And I think so many of us think about doing that, but we never actually take the plunge. What gave you the gumption to just drop everything and take a year hiatus to
Yeah.
go on hold and make a lifetime's worth of memories?
And it was. It's something that it's hard for a lot of people to imagine
Mhm.
doing. Obviously, in life, we've got things, wives, kids, mortgages that might hold us back from taking a trip like that. It was something that had always been very important to me. Playing football in college, I didn't have the chance to do a study abroad. I tried to pursue a relatively short career playing professionally after that, and then jumped right into work. But I made a promise to myself, early on when I got done playing football that I would make time and prioritize that in my life. Travel's always been something that I think is incredibly important to me. I think you learn a lot by seeing how the rest of the world lives, understanding other cultural perspectives, and there's just so much natural beauty out there
Mhm.
around the world. So when the opportunity arose, and I thought it was the right point in my life, in my career, to take time to do that, I jumped at the opportunity. I had the fortune of having a good friend, Ryan, that was also in a similar situation to travel with. I think it probably would have got a little lonely out there for 9 months if I'd been
Yeah.
by myself. But I look back with nothing but fond memories. The opportunity to completely unplug, to go out there and experience life and so many new experiences, new cultures, and then come back, more refreshed than ever, excited about embarking on a new chapter professionally and personally. It was just everything and more that I could have ever imagined out of a trip like that.
Incredible. 5 total continents. How many?
6, 6.
6? Okay.
I missed one, Antarctica. Now,
Okay.
we're at the southern tip of South America down there in Patagonia and Chile and Argentina, and we thought about, "All right, well, we're here. Do we go ahead and make it over to Antarctica as well?" What I came to realize is a pretty big price tag getting over to
Is it?
Antarctica from South America, so I figured, well, we'll do that maybe another time. So, I got 6 of the 7. I think ended up going about 30 countries in
30 countries.
total. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. It's hard to pick any favorites because there's just so many that come to mind.
I saw some of the photos, people in villages and third world countries you had a chance to befriend and get to know. You talked about seeing other cultures. Friends of mine that have gone on foreign missions trips talk about how it changes you.
Yeah.
What changed Todd Reesing and what life lessons did you bring back to your own day to day now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of lessons you can learn from taking the time to travel, and certainly when you go to underdeveloped countries, people that live below the poverty line that are just trying to survive on a daily basis. I think it does give you a lot of perspective. I think it makes you appreciate how lucky we are to live in a place like America. All the things that we take for granted on a daily basis are luxuries to a lot of
Mm.
people around the world. I spent a lot of time in Cameroon with one of my best friends, Alexi. We went to the tribe, the Tupuri tribe in Jiglao, Cameroon,
Wow.
where he was supposed to be the chief of the tribe until he ended up getting adopted to come play basketball in the US. And so we went and spent time with his tribe, sat with the current chief, saw the land that his family owns, where there's only one well for, multiple groups of families. And he talked about how he wanted to build more wells there so they could have, access to water. Having that kind of an experience is just, again, it's eye opening. It does change you, I think, inherently to a certain degree. So that, amongst many other incredible experiences, just it's a very fulfilling, life changing perspective that I think more people should have the opportunity to do, if you're willing to take that plunge, take that step forward.
What did the people of Cameroon know of American football? And did they believe this 30 something skinny guy from back in the States used to be a football icon back in the
I
day?
think they were more impressed by my dancing, to be honest, because I wasn't shy about getting out there on the dance floor with everybody
Yeah.
in Cameroon. But I don't think the term American football exists over there. I think it's just football, and
Okay.
that's term for soccer. So I don't know that many people know too much about American
Uh,
football when you go over to Cameroon.
well, let's use that as a segue. If you were to tell them what Kansas football was like back in the Mangino era, specifically the 07-08
Yeah.
stretch, 20 wins, greatest 2 year stretch in school history, how would you have described it to someone that never saw it?
Well, I think it was electric. It was an electric period of time. When you look at, for my freshman season, what the energy was like inside of what we now call the booth, inside of the stadium, at the tailgates after the game, just around the city of Lawrence, it was different, right? There wasn't this excitement, there wasn't this energy that surrounded the program that we were able to create in 2007, 2008. when we went on that run of the Orange Bowl year and won our first 11 games, and you could just see the intensity building, the excitement building, how much people were really getting behind the football team and supporting us. And that resonated and, filtered its way through the
Mhm.
entire Jayhawk alumni.
Yeah,
And it really did, I think, transform how people thought about Kansas football.
yeah.
And obviously, that kind of success can change the trajectory of an entire football program.
And it absolutely did. Before we dive into specifics of that upward trajectory of 0708, take me back to October 28th of 2006 and the day you entered versus Colorado. It changed your life and changed the trajectory of Kansas football for all of time. Memories of that day and maybe what's a behind the scenes story that hasn't been told.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was just talking about that play with my business partner. He didn't have the full background, I guess, on all the different football stories. It's funny. I watched the 64-yard run I had on that game, which is funny. That was the longest run of my career, and it was in the first game I played when I was probably the most out of shape of my entire career because all I'd been doing for the entire season is signaling plays on the sideline and probably having too much fun off the field because I thought I was redshirting. Um, so it's funny to think back about those early days, and I was describing how I really had no idea what I was doing that first game. I remember there was plays when I knew someone was blitzing and that I needed to change the blocking coverage, but I didn't know how to because like you're panicked, you're overwhelmed, the game's moving way too fast for you, and so I just go, all right, me versus this guy one on one. Like I know he's unblocked, but I'll get him.
Yeah.
And like just kind of that backyard style of football where you just gotta kind of wing it and make plays. And that's again, that's how I've always played. That's how I grew up playing, back in Austin, Texas. But then to think about that versus where you end up at your senior year, where
Right.
you have such a greater command of the offense, the game is slowed down, but yet your success level might not be any different. So at the end of the day, like that grit, that determination, that X factor you have to have, that becomes such an important quality in terms of finding success. Because even if you know what you're doing, it doesn't always result in the W's that you might want to have.
True. Well, between that first day and then the 25 wins you would rack up as a sophomore through your senior year, there was a changing of a guard where you take over as QB1 and Kerry Meyer out of Pittsburgh, Kansas, who was recruited as the four-star quarterback, would humbly accept a different role. And to me, as somewhat of a KU historian, I think it's one of the all-time great teammate stories that he took on a different role, not to just make the most of it, but to do whatever it took to help the team have
Yeah,
the optimal success. And then he goes on to be one of the most prolific pass catchers in the history of the
yeah,
school. So my question for Todd Reesing is, what was your relationship like early in that process when you were competing at the same position? And then how did that develop and morph into your most trusted
yeah,
set of hands for the biggest plays of your
yeah.
career?
Well, during the time that we were competing for that starting quarterback job, Kerry and I were roommates. We lived together.
Yeah.
So we obviously had already had a relationship as friends off the field. But to be living together when you're going through this heated quarterback competition, and I say heated in terms of the level of competition, not heated like there was any animosity between the two of us. Ultimately, I think either of us, whoever would have won out, we would have supported the other person. Now you look at today with how often players jump around, and Kerry certainly could have left, but I think that speaks to the character that he had. Is that when he didn't win the job, he didn't pout, he didn't stop being a good teammate in the locker room. He kept working hard, and I think all of us, not only the players but the coaching staff, knew he's too good of an athlete to keep off the field,
Yeah.
and we had to find another way to get Kerry involved in the offense because he was too athletic, he was too smart, he was too good at football. And as you mentioned, I mean, he ended up becoming one of the most prolific receivers in the history of Kansas football. I think his knowledge, having played quarterback, helped him become such an incredible receiver. And I think back to, so many third downs where it was always Kerry's the number one option. If a play broke down, Kerry's going to be open because he understood the coverage, he understood the weakness in the defense, so he was able to find a way to get open when plays broke down. So we just had this connection between quarterback and receiver that I always knew what he was thinking because he's thinking like a quarterback.
Mhm.
And so that really allowed us to excel and just have this quarterback to receiver, adaptability and connection where if I needed a big play, if I needed a third down conversion, like Kerry was my guy.
Yeah. Did the roommate relationship blossom and grow in the best of ways as he became your most trusted ally to throw the ball to? Him and Dez, of course.
Yeah. Well, we weren't roommates after that, so maybe it didn't work out that well. No, no, I think, yeah, I think that relationship only grew, and listen, he still sat in a lot of the quarterback meetings because he was also the backup quarterback
Uh, uh,
while being a star receiver as well. But I think, yeah, I think that foundation that we had as both being quarterbacks is really what laid the groundwork for the success that he had at receiver. And I can't imagine us being as successful as
no,
we were if we didn't have Kerry as a receiver.
no
You
doubt.
know, having that 1-2 punch with him and Briscoe, like and I, I'm sure it's happened plenty of times, but there has probably hasn't been that many times where you've got two receivers that go back to back seasons. They both go over 1,000 yards. Like that is a pretty prolific stretch over a 2 year period of time for any university.
We talk about you rewriting the passing record books. Those two rewrote the receiving record books, whether it's catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. It's either Meyer or Briscoe, 1, 2
Yeah.
in just about every column. Memories of Dez, obviously massive hands, ran great routes, made big plays. But what comes to mind when you think of Desmond Briscoe?
Yeah, he playmaker. I
Yeah,
mean, he was the quintessential playmaker. He had the frame, he had the speed. If a ball was anywhere near him, he was catching it. I
yeah,
mean, his hands, as you mentioned, were big, but he also just had the innate ability, the skill set to know how to high point balls, to know how to get open, to know how to use his body to
mm,
protect against coverage. I mean, I can't recall more than a handful of times he ever even dropped a pass.
yeah.
And same with Carey. You know, those guys were just so reliable. They worked hard, you know, they didn't really get hurt, and they were just out there making play after play after play. And I think back to that Insight Bowl with Desmond where, you know, I think we completed like 10 or 11 or 12 consecutive passes to him. I think he goes on to get offensive player of the game, but you know, he'd have these breakout moments where it's like he was untouchable. It's like he got open on every single play, and it's like you just got to keep feeding the rock. When it's like he got the hot hand, and it's like my guy Briscoe's on a roll, man. Just coach, keep feeding him.
It's amazing when you go back and look at the talent on that team that then went on to the next level. Derek Fine plays for the Buffalo Bills, obviously Marcus Henry, Anthony Collins. That offense, BMAC, Jake
Yeah.
Sharp, a lot of guys that were not only great college players, but eventually had other opportunities too.
Yeah, I mean, we had a stacked roster. I mean, that Orange Bowl season, both on offense and on
Yeah.
defense, obviously with the success that, you know, Akeem and Chris Harris and Stuckey and others had playing in the professional level, you know, Hall of Fame type careers when you think
Yeah.
about, you know, Akeem and Chris Harris. But yeah, on the offense as well. I mean, Anthony Collins, Caesar, our big tackles.
Yes.
Without those guys, we don't have the running game that we had that was so successful. Cantrell at center, and then our, you know, all the different receivers and weapons we had, Marcus Henry and
Mhm.
Dexton, and then the 1-2 punts of Jake and BMAC. You know,
Yeah.
we had about as complete of a team from top to bottom on offense, defense, and special teams as you could draw up. And I think we were all cut from the same type of mentality, right? Most all of us were undersized, under recruited, underappreciated. We all had a chip on our shoulder.
Mhm.
Same with Mangino.
Yep.
So I think that mindset permeated our entire team, our entire roster, and it gave us something that we wanted to stay motivated, stay
Yeah.
hungry for. We went out there with a purpose that year, like we've got something to prove, and we know we've got the team, we've got the talent to go out there and accomplish anything and beat anyone in college football. And minus the one, the one blunder from that season, the one disappointing
Yeah.
loss. I mean, if we could play that first half over again, things turn out differently. Who knows? Maybe a national championship was potentially on the table for us. Unfortunately, you can't rewind the
Yep.
clock, but it is fun to think about how close we were to potentially having opportunity to play for a national title.
It's amazing. And 12-1 obviously has never been done before. And hopefully we'll again see days like that eventually. But 12-1, followed by an 8-win season the next year, a 20-win stretch over 2 seasons. Truly the greatest 2 years in KU football history. You said a second ago, underrated, chip on the shoulder. And I'm thinking the whole time, just the way Mangino liked him. And then you
Yeah,
tossed in coach's name. He was on my list to ask you about because just a few weeks ago, he went into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. And so he was back getting his tour of the new booth and getting some chances to catch up with some of his favorite former players and also getting the just due he deserved as one of the all time great coaches to coach in this state, especially KU. But tell me about Coach Mangino, your favorite aspect of playing for him, and then maybe what's something fans don't know about what Mangino was like. So many stories have been told, but if anybody has one that may not have been
yeah.
heard, maybe it's you.
I think of Coach Mangino. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is he was the only coach that I talked to when I was going through my recruiting, which I was not heavily recruited coming out of Texas, despite having a decent amount of success at the high school level. And he was the only coach that I think truly believed in me from day one.
Mhm.
And when I first sat down in his office after attending a Kansas State football camp, a story I've told before,
Yeah.
where I wanted, all these coaches wanted me to come throw in person. They wanted to size me up. They wanted to see how fast I was, or how strong I was, or how far I could throw it. And Mangino, he sits across from me and says, "I watched your tape this morning. I've seen all I need to see. Like, I think you got the X factor. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care how big you are. I think you can play here and make a difference. And I want to offer you a scholarship."
Wow.
And I was sold, like, instantly, because there's a coach that looks past your physical attributes and looks at what you could bring to the table from a playmaking standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. And having a coach that believes in you like that, that's what every player wants.
Mhm.
So, I think that was, when I think back about Mangino, that's what first comes to mind. I think he's got so many positive attributes as a coach. What he did to turn around the University of Kansas program, instilling a discipline, a sense of hard work, of having to go out there and earn everything, doing things the right way, going to class, getting your grades, thinking about life after football are all things that were very important to him, not only as a coach, but as a leader of young men. And I think those are things that, as I look back, being a little older now, are really important characteristics, things I try to share with the younger generation. The reality is, for most of us, there is life after football, and taking your academics seriously is something that should be, as important, if not more important, than what you're doing on the gridiron.
What a fabulous answer. Any candid moments come to
Yeah.
mind? Anything you can
Well,
share?
so one great story. So Mangino, for those that don't know him as well, he's really funny. Like, he got incredible one-liners out there. Sometimes they're just funny. Sometimes they're because he's chewing you out, but
Uh-huh.
they'd be funny if it wasn't towards you. But I remember we were playing Texas A&M. So I grew up, a Longhorn fan in Austin. My dad went to UT. So I wasn't an Aggie fan anyways, just so everyone knows. But I got a coach from Texas A&M that called me during recruiting, and he goes, Todd, you're not the biggest, you're not the tallest, you don't have the strongest arm." I'm thinking, well, why'd you call me then? Like, what's going on
Off to a
here?
great start.
And he goes, "Right now, you're on our B list of quarterback, but if something changes, we'll let you know." And I'm thinking, why'd this guy even bother? So I told Mangino that story. So the week we're playing A&M, I think we're 6 or 7 or 8-0. We're going down, big game on the road, and in a historically a hard place to play. They're the 12th man, all that stuff.
Sure.
And, throughout the week, I'd be getting ready to, call a snap to run a play in practice, and Mangino would blow the whistle, and he'd walk up to me right in my ear hole and be like, "They told you you were B list." And he was just chirping, like, just trying to, poke the bear a little bit and add a little more motivation.
Yep.
So, those kind of things, the way he interacted with players. And again, he wanted you to succeed. He wanted us to succeed, but like, he didn't forget that when I told him a long time before.
What a fabulous story. Forever an A-lister in our book, the all-time great Todd Reesing is with us today on Haney and the Hawks. We'll take a quick time out, come back and talk about his favorite memories, specific game memories, and then we'll close with some fun stuff as well. Haney and the Hawks right here on Kansas Nation. Welcome back to Haney and the Hawks. Today, catching up with one of the all-time greats in Kansas athletics history, the Texas gunslinger, Todd Reesing. Todd, we really appreciate you joining us. We're going to close in our final segment with maybe top three favorite games, top three favorite plays, and then we'll have some fun in our 2-minute drill. But obviously, when people think of you, they think of the Orange Bowl championship in that magical 12-1 2007 season. They think of the touchdown to Kerry Meyer in the snow in Kansas City to beat Mizzou. And then there's a ton of other games that would compete for number three. How do you stack your top three favorite games?
Top three favorite games. You have to put the Orange Bowl up there, probably the top spot. While it wasn't maybe the most exciting game that I played in, or the one that I played the best in, obviously the outcome, winning the BCS championship, winning the Orange Bowl after that hard loss to Missouri, and capping off what was such an incredible season,
Yeah.
that's probably got to be top of the list. Second, obviously, we're going to go with the Missouri game, the revenge game in the snow. 4th and 7, 27-yard line, 27 seconds to pass to Kerry Meyer. I remember it like it's yesterday. So that's probably got to be game number two. And then number three, I got to go with hanging 76 on Nebraska. After having so many Kansas fans go through what 30, 40, 50 years of Nebraska beating us by 40, 50 points, to go out there and score the most points ever on the vaulted black shirt defense of
Yes.
Nebraska. I think we scored 10 consecutive touchdowns. I remember during that game, uh, Coach Warner, our OC at the time, we're talking after a touchdown, and he's like, what are you seeing out there? What's working? I'm like, Coach, you could call whatever you want. All the plays work. Like, we're getting 10 yards a pop. And I think I told him, I was like, let's try to score 100. And I was being dead serious. I was like, we're not slowing down. Like, these guys did this to us for
Sure.
decades. Like, let's go score 100 on these guys.
Would you have taken a Wilt Chamberlain picture with like 100 on a piece of paper?
Absolutely. 1000%. I'm trying to be like Wilt out here, man.
I love it in a lot of regards. Um, it's funny about that behind the scenes. We're taping this in our beautiful new studio, 916 Massachusetts. And I invited my dad to be here today because you're his all time favorite player. And just a little bit of context, we would go to games every Saturday driving over from Topeka. And for so many years, we got beaten by Nebraska and pummeled by Nebraska. And there was one distinct Saturday where we walked out of there dejected after June Henley wasn't on the field when they went for two at the end. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Son, I don't think we'll ever beat them in my lifetime. Maybe in your lifetime, but I don't know if it'll happen in mine." So when you hung 76 on those guys, Papa Haney was walking like 10 inches taller walking out of there
Listen, we
that
want to
day.
make Papa Haney happy out
That's
here,
right.
right? We had to go out there and do it for him.
That's right. Well, those are three great choices. How about your three favorite plays? Because I know a play a lot of folks remember with you and involves Nebraska
Yeah.
bouncing off one of the defensive backs, somehow keeping your footing and delivering a big play downfield.
We had three of the plays. Two of them were in those two of those games we mentioned. The pass to Kerry Meyer,
Of course.
the play. That's got to be the tops. And it's funny how that came together because I was talking to Coach David Beatty when he was the receivers coach at Kansas during that particular game, and we were talking a few years later when he was the head coach at Kansas, and he was telling me this story that I didn't even remember. And he was saying that when we had the timeout called and we're calling the play, and the play was just designed to try to get a first down,
Okay.
right? We were trying to get Briscoe on a curl route or Kerry on a spot up. And apparently I was talking to Kerry during that whole timeout, like, Kerry, if they blitz and go man coverage, go deep. If they blitz and go man coverage, just go deep. So apparently I was already calling my shot to Kerry before the play even happens. I don't remember
Really?
saying this, but he was like, "Oh yeah, that's you kept telling Kerry, like, if they blitz and go man coverage, just break and go deep, I'll find you." So hearing that back a few years later was pretty wild to think that, like, we were already thinking
Man,
that through before the play even happened. And sure enough, they blitzed, Briscoe slips, and everything broke down. But me and Kerry were already locked in.
always
Um,
locked in.
so that plays, right up there, probably top of the list. The play against Nebraska that you just referenced, Brian. I think I was rolling out to the right, and one of their cornerbacks came screaming, and I was looking downfield and didn't even see him till the last minute, and he clocks me. Now most people probably would have gone down, but I'm small, I'm small but mighty. So he falls down. I get knocked back by about 3 or 4 yards, stay on my feet. Kerry pops up, and we end up finding for a touchdown. I remember after the game, we're watching the game film, and from the end zone view, Kerry was on the ground when I got hit, and he kind of looks like he's posing like a male model on the ground, like arm like this. But then once I didn't fall down, he just hops right up and just goes right in the end zone for a touchdown.
Posing like a male model.
Yeah, well, look at him, man. He looks like a male model. It
The
makes
the
sense.
long
Long,
blonde locks
looking
of
like
hair.
sunshine out there. And then
That's
the last one was the one time I got the number one play on the ESPN Top 10. It was on my 21st birthday against Sam Houston State. I scrambled around. I think it was about a 65-yard pass in the air, which that's about as far as I can throw it. So I really had to max out with a crow hop to get the ball all the way to Briscoe. But I remember we were out celebrating as one does on your 21st birthday after the
yeah.
win. And then it came on at Johnny's Tavern on the ESPN Top 10. So shots were flowing after we got to see that number one play on ESPN
I
that game.
bet. We always close though with the 2 minute drill. Rapid fire questions here, real quickly, to get first responses that come to mind. So many nicknames for Todd Reesing. T.O. Double Trouble. Again, that's the Instagram handle. The Texas Gunslinger, the Texas Fun Slinger,
There you go.
Touchdown Todd. I'm sure I'm leaving some off here.
Sparky from
Of course,
Mangino.
Sparky. Yes, my dad had the Sparky
Yeah.
jersey. What is Todd Reesing's favorite nickname?
Oh man, it was funny is there's so many more nicknames since I played football too that are going through my head as well. Stories for another time.
Yeah.
I've always really liked the Texas Fun Slinger. I think that's you and David Lawrence that coined that at some point in time.
David, yes.
I feel like that really captures me as a person. You know, it's like, yeah, I was a gunslinger, but I was more about having fun, like while I'm slinging.
And you had a ton of fun both on and off the field. You were almost as legendary off the field as you were on it. So,
No comment.
what was your favorite going out spot to celebrate in Lawrence? And then you don't have to give us stories, but tell me a little bit about the lifestyle back in the day because you partied hard both on the field and off.
Well, I certainly did. You got to celebrate your wins whenever they come
Totally.
along. Well, I think the whole football team. We spent a lot of time at Johnny's Tavern. I was there last night and had some fond memories because whenever we had a win, I'd start bartending at 12:15 at Johnny's. Um, I don't know if I knew the pricing schedule or how to make all the cocktails, but it was sure was a lot of fun. So if you came to Johnny's, during those
Right.
years at 12:15 after a win, you probably saw me bartending.
What was your specialty?
Probably pouring shots.
Okay. Any particular favorite?
Uh, you know, back then, who knows? Now I'm probably more tequila.
Okay.
So we'll go with tequila, but at that point, probably whatever I grabbed in front of me.
I love it. Okay, speaking of the Todd Reesing party guy, if you could party with 4 people, could be famous sports stars, musicians. I mean, you are a guy that has partied with some famous people, but 4 all-time, alive or dead, history of time, they seem like a good time. Who would be in the party crew of Todd Reesing?
Oh man, that's a tough question. That's going to be hard to answer. Dennis Rodman, maybe. That
Okay,
guy like to have a good time.
absolutely.
Um, what's the wrestler Andre the Giant? Didn't he drink like 127 beers one time? Like
Okay.
unofficial Guinness World Record.
I knew Wade
That
Boggs was up there, but
Yeah, Wade Boggs. So
okay.
now that might not be like a healthy outcome to do it, but could make for a good time. I'd probably want to go back and hang out at Studio 54.
Okay.
See the disco era. Um, and then other than that, like you probably have to go like ancient times back to like some like one of those Vikings and go see how they did it back in the day, like as Viking conquerors, since I'm of
Totally.
Norwegian descent. So it's a that's what came to mind. If I thought about it some more, I'd probably have different answers for
I
you.
like it though. You ran the gamut there. That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Finally, you close by saying, or you open rather by saying you're ecstatic to be a Kansas Jayhawk.
Yeah.
What would make you ecstatic for the future of this program? Because I know you're a big believer in the current regime. Close us there. How proud you are where the program's at today and what you think could lie ahead.
Yeah, no, when I think about my time at Kansas, like again, as I've mentioned, nothing but immense pride for
Mhm.
having the ability to attend Kansas, to get an education here, to have the success we had on the football field, and just to form lifelong relationships with everyone that I played with other friends at the university, and that's continued over the last 16 years since I left Kansas. And I look at the current state of where we're at, everything that the chancellor's done with AD Goff coming in, really putting a focus on ensuring that the football program is on the right trajectory, making an incredible hire with Coach Leipold and all the staff that he brought with him, the generosity of David Booth and so many other Kansas alumni and donors that have upgraded our facilities to being the best in the country. All that doesn't happen overnight. It's taken a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication from a lot of people. And to see where we're at now and see how bright the future is with this new stadium, with all these facilities, with the energy that we have behind the program, I think there's never been a better time to be a Jayhawk football fan.
Mhm.
And I think the future is going to be really exciting for us. I think we're going to do a lot of great things and have a lot of success, both on and off the field. And I'm couldn't be more excited for the future. Rock Chalk.
Really well said.
Yeah.
Todd, thank you so much. You gave an entire Jayhawk generation memories they'll cherish for the rest of their lives, and you continue to represent us so well. I want to see you back as a bartender at Johnny's Tavern, though, sometime, slinging the tequila with the Texas Fun Slinger. He's Todd Reesing. We're going to get you out of here, my man. Thanks again.
Thank
Really
you,
appreciate you.
Brian.
Real
Great talking to
fast,
you
Cap
today.
6. Tell us one more time how folks can find out where you're at today and what you're up to.
Yeah, so Cap Six, we're a Houston-based investment management firm. We're having a lot of great success
Mhm.
building the firm. I'm really excited to be embarking on this new chapter. Always happy to talk with anyone about what we're doing. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or via email,
All
and
right.
always happy to chat.
There you go. The all time great, Todd Reesing, right here on this edition of Haney and the Hawks.